Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 29 Palms City Council regular meeting here at 6136 Adobe Road in the beautiful city of 29 Palms, California, 92277. And Randy, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we have on the phone Reverend Peggy Ventris from St. Martin in the Fields Episcopal Church. Peggy?
Thank you. I pray with everyone tonight that God's peace may be with us, the peace of deep prayer for those we call our enemies, the peace of hard work to feed and house those who need help, the peace of forgiveness for those who hurt and have hurt the world. I pray for the peace for us of the difficult journey within ourselves to acknowledge our own failings. I pray for the peace of seeing with clarity how we have failed our brothers and sisters who are your face, God, and whom we are trying to love. I pray for the peace of acceptance of each other as your children and so our brothers and our sisters. I pray for the peace for us of the hard work of caring for your creations, the natural world and its creatures. I pray for us for the peace of forgiveness of ourselves once we have laid our sins at your feet. I pray for the peace for us of acceptance, that we do not know your mind, for you are God, and it is not given to us to judge others, only to you. I pray for us for the peace of modeling ourselves on a God of love. I pray for the peace of prayer and forgiveness. I pray that we may find God's peace within ourselves, and that we may be with God in God's intimate love of his creation and his people. I pray that we realize why we are here. It is to love and is to be loved. I pray that we can be big enough to accept God's peace within our lives, and that we may be strong enough to see ways ahead that other people don't see, that we may all find God's peace together. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bilderain,
Here.
Councilmember Ogilvy,
Here.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Klink,
Here.
all present.
Closed session announcements. The City Council met in closed session on July 8th, 2020 at 3 p.m. They gave direction to legal counsel and staff to pursue a challenge to the initiative to repeal FP 5 that funds fire service in the city. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if we can move item number 15 and 16 in front of the public hearings, number 12 in front of them, please.
So noted. Is that good? Okay. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going on our website and clicking on the meeting agendas link. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. Randy Councell, could you meet me at the podium, please? One of our longest tenured employees. Would like to present this
Sure, I'll say a couple of words first. I'd like to thank the community for their support throughout the years that supported all of our programs. Thank the city council for your wisdom to make it important for Parks and Recreation to be a key component within the community. All city staff, thank you for the years of dedication and hard work. It's been a pleasure. But I'd like to also thank the Community Services Department for the staff that we've gone through the years, and the staff that you have now are wonderful. They'll take you to the next milestone that you seek and you set for them. And lastly, to my family, thank you for the 35-plus years of community service in your support. Sometimes it's out at events and activities that they came and volunteered or voluntold, as you ask my kids, but they always stood behind me and supported us throughout that. So thank you very much.
Okay, well, I have the pleasure of giving Noel his plaque, so come on up, Noel. The mayor asked me if I want to do this, and I said, yes, absolutely. Cool. So this is for Noel Perdue. He was our Public Works Superintendent in recognition of your 21 years of hard work, public service, and the many contributions to the city of 29 Palms. Your leadership, dedication, and commitment have left a positive, permanent mark on the community. October 1999 to May 2020. Congratulations.
I also would like to thank the council and the past councils, 21 years of awesome job. I mean, I actually thoroughly enjoyed coming to my work every day. And think of all the staff that I worked with. They were great. Cindy, I mean, walk in and just ask her any kind of question. Cindy Canary could find money for me, which was unbelievable. And Jacqueline, any kind of problem, she was always there. Mr. Lucchino, thank you. You stood behind me, you helped me, you guided me. Gave me a hard time sometimes, but you know, that was good. And I want to thank my wife that put up with me and the phone calls in the middle of the night, emails on weekends, you know, and events that we'd have to cancel because we couldn't go because something was coming up, you know, and she'd say, it's your job. So, and thank the community for letting me serve you guys. I really do miss my job, except I don't got to get up at 4 o'clock, but I do, you know, and that's it, but thank you very much.
And Mr. Mayor, if I just may comment real quick, you know, as the manager of the city, just it's bittersweet, quite frankly, and having 48 years of retirements between Randy and Noel, great employees, and aside from their many accomplishments, which there are many, there are two great people that we're going to miss here in the city of 29 Palms. And also, too, they're both two Steeler fans, which is also an added benefit. So, Randy and Noel and your families, congratulations in retirement. Well deserved.
Okay, council comments and reports of meetings attended. We'll go ahead and do Council Member Ogilvy.
Let me think. I don't believe I attended. Well, I did participate in a giveaway, food distribution over this past weekend with Morongo Basin Healthcare District, and also prior to that, I did help out with backpack giveaways at Spirit and Truth Worship Center Church. So I did two serving of the community.
All right. That it?
Yes, sir. That was a long
Okay.
time.
All right, thank you. Council Member Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I wanted to congratulate Randy and Noel. They are already gone, but you know, fantastic job, and you know, just great that I got a chance to meet them and to see them do what they did for the city. So, thank you guys and congratulations. And then, we did do, the, 4th of July event or something out at the reservation. I don't remember exactly what it was. Yeah, there you go. Flag raising ceremony out there. I haven't gone to any meetings or anything like that, so, yeah, I think that's it, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. Councilmember Beldorain.
Congratulations to Randy, his family, and Noel and his family, and all the hard work they did do for us. Big shoes to fill in the future. I'm not sure if we had a meeting since then. I went to the Juneteenth ceremony. So I don't know if that was the last meeting or not, but I attended that. And just been reading all the emails coming in from everywhere. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Had a Zoom meeting with MDAQMD. Obviously, the main portion of that was to finish up the budget. Also went to the ribbon cutting at the Cactus Terrells Cafe. And we also had a Zoom meeting with the Desert Mountain Meeting. Again, talking about some legislation that's up in Sacramento, and hopefully none of it goes through. Went to the casino flag raising, and then we had a Economic Development Committee meeting, MAC. And then congratulations to Noel and Randy. Known those two a long time. So congratulations on their retirement. I wonder how these people are retiring, and I'm older than they are, but that's the way it is. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to wish everybody a happy birthday celebrating in July here in 29 Palms. Gentleman right here celebrated not too long ago a birthday, so I guess what? The singing mayor has to sing happy birthday? Come on, y'all can join in with me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Danny. Happy birthday to you. And also to our city manager who celebrated his birthday as well this month. And our city clerk. A lot of July birthdays. Happy birthday, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Carmelette, that was great. You jumped in there right away.
Yes.
Thank you. Off key and everything.
Sounded good.
That's better than me singing.
So yeah, I went to the flag raising at the casino July 4th. Just a reminder that the cooling stations are open during the week at the senior center, and then also at the weekend if it gets really hot, which I think this weekend it will be supposed to be getting really hot, so they probably will be open. I also attended a food giveaway or food dinners to be given away. SoCal Gas gave money to John's Place to make dinners for our elderly. FSA, Reach Out Morongo Basin, the Senior Center were all involved in getting these dinners out to our senior citizens and those that cannot make it to the Senior Center to get food. So that was really good to see that they did that. I did not have any meetings this month, so we'll call it done with the comments from the council. We'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council in its capacity as successor agency to the former 29 Palms Redevelopment Agency and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on consent calendar items prior to the City Council action. Do I have any council members that would like to pull an item, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent calendar, and I will abstain from warrants. Check number 10574, 10603, 10619, 10625, 10631, 10639, 10657, 10659, 10660, 10672, 10683, 10710, 10711, 10712, 10730, 10774 and 10785. These all pertain to Project Phoenix, and I have to abstain from those warrants. If anybody wants a copy of them, I have it here. Thank you, Mr.
Second.
And we have a second. Do I have anybody out in the community that would like to address anything on the consent calendar at this time? Okay, we'll bring it back to council. I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Mintz and seconded by Councilmember Wright. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ogilvy,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderrain,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
All right, so we are going to go and do discussion 15, coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security in CARES, C-A-R-E-S.
Mr. Mayor, I have to accuse myself from both those items. One is the possibility of my wife's business may apply for it, I may apply for it, and then of course, the Project Phoenix. I have to accuse myself.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The item in front of you this evening, staff's recommendation is to authorize the allocation of the CARES Act funding through the state of California in the amount of $361,000. Just by way of background, the CARES Act through the federal government, CARES stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security. Within the funding that the federal government approved, small cities like the city of 29 Palms did not receive any of this funding. The money went to large cities and states. Through the most recent state budget, the governor and the legislature approve a pass-through from the state government to the cities. The city of 29 Palms will receive $361,000. That $361,000, staff, the legislation requires that it is to combat coronavirus, COVID-19. So it can't replace revenue. It can only pay for the things that we had to expend to combat revenue. Up on your screen, let me pull it up here real quick. I have the staff has been working through the proposed funding out of the 361. Going down through these just briefly, some computer equipment that we had to purchase for remote work, safety equipment, no-touch front door in City Hall, legal expense, signage, food supplies for the senior center. And I know Astrid Johnson is here this evening and may want to speak to this. Homeless lodging, so we carved out $10,000 for a voucher program for some of the homeless to combat COVID. Some laid off employees that we could bring back during this time frame. Face mask, and right on this expenditure list, we have for businesses, 100 businesses. I think in consultation with some of the council members that may want to switch that to, I think we could do 300 residents. We can do care packages for 300 residents with face masks and sanitizer. Part of my wage, part of the IT director's wage, part of the code enforcement wage as part of combating the COVID, a sanitized fogger, and I'll touch a little bit more on this, small business grants, unemployment that we had to pay, and also public outreach. If I could go back to the small business grants, we've carved out $150,000 for that. On the phone is a representative from the executive team of San Bernardino County. And one of the things that we want to do is to piggyback off of the county's COVID business compliance program. The county has allocated $2,500 to the businesses that have applied for it. And what the city staff is recommending is we match that $2,500 with the county monies. Luther, if you don't mind introducing yourself and explaining the program and how long it'll go for, along with how much is still available, and a little bit about the program, please.
Absolutely. I want to make sure you can hear me.
Yep.
Can you confirm that?
Yeah, we can hear
Wonderful.
you okay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Frank. Good evening, Mayor, Council members, City Manager. Thank you. I'm Luther Snow. I'm a Deputy Executive Officer for the County of Denver, as you know, and I really appreciate Frank inviting me to come and speak just very briefly to the Council on the county's efforts by way of working to support the local businesses in the county, including those in the city of 29 Palms during this very difficult time. First off, just very briefly, the county board, including your supervisor, Don Rao, they've been clear in their communications to staff publicly that while their priority is ensuring a safe reopening of businesses, they've also been very clear that the impact to small businesses in particular through this pandemic has been significant. In many cases, you might even call it devastating for a number of small business owners. And so it's really become a top priority for the county board, and I'm sure that the city council here in 29 Palms, as well as the city manager, to really find ways to support these small business owners through this. As part of that effort, and as Frank alluded to, the CARES Act funds that were received, the county received an allocation as well. And the decision was made then back in May, to actually enact this COVID-compliant business partnership program that got money into the hands of these small business owners. The intention was to help really fund and cover some of the costs, at least, for making improvements to their business in line with state and local guidance for safe operations. However, we really didn't put any specific requirements on those funds. We made those funds available to businesses, as many needed them for various things, but the intention was to offset those costs. A total of $30 million was earmarked for this program. And really, it was interesting. It's the first of its kind in this regard, and it's become a model to use, and I think even being improved on in some cases by different organizations, different agencies. So it's really exciting to be part of it. Just by way of statistics, in the county, we've received over 5,000 applications. We've funded 3,900 of them so far. That's over $8 million currently in checks cut, with another, I think, $1.5 million due to go out. For the city of 29 Palms specifically, so far we funded, we received 44 applications, 37 were approved, and that means over $100,000 in looking at that has been invested back into the city's small businesses so far. So it's really a fantastic program. We've heard lots of good things from those businesses that are receiving it. And we're continuing to look at ways to promote the county's program further and even make adjustments to it. So that'll be coming soon. Just kind of wrapping it up here by way of those that are eligible. Small businesses with 1 to 100 employees were eligible. There's a few exceptions to those, such as, certain businesses that we do should not have access to these. So we're continuing to evaluate that almost on an ongoing basis to make sure we continue to agree with the approach that our board supports what we're doing. And as Frank also mentioned, the way the funding has been set up is we're offering $2,500 to businesses for their first, as you know, many businesses have multiple locations, especially those spread across the county. So for those that have multiple locations, we offer $2,500 for the first location and $1,000 for each additional location. And as I mentioned, we've had over 5,000 apply for this and are continuing to see applications come in on a regular basis. So that completes my prepared statement. Frank, if there's anything you'd like me to comment on additionally, I'd be happy to, or I'd be happy to take questions.
Sure, thank you. And just to piggyback off of that, and if the council has any questions, the county already built this infrastructure to be able to vet the applicants and to accept the applications. And so that's why staff is recommending that we just use our money to match what the county has done. So let them do the heavy work to take the application, solicit. Once they cut the check and it gets approved, immediately thereafter, the city would then cut our check to that same business. So that concludes our comments, and we're both available for questions.
Any questions? Carmelette, we'll ask you first since you're on the phone. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Anybody else? Now, this is money that mostly would be for ones that have been told they need to close, or is it going to be ones that have been able to stay open and?
Luther, if you could address that one, the eligible businesses, the mayor asked, is it primarily for the businesses that have been required to close and non-essential businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, not the county's program, just that really all businesses were impacted in some way, even those that were essential still had to make improvements, put in, make investment into their operation to add safety features. So we went ahead and made those funds available to all businesses, whether they, were able to remain open or if they had to close. We are, constantly kicking around different ideas to help support those businesses that have had to close. But at this point, we are still focused on all businesses with, that meet the eligibility criteria for number of employees this type of operation.
And does that include, and probably open up a can of worms, but does that include ones that stayed open when they were supposed to be closed?
Yeah, that is an excellent question. The answer to that is a little complicated. It should not.
Okay.
But it is hard to police that as we're going through a process now where we receive complaints in from the public, from different agencies, and we're following up on those. I will say we have denied applications based on the volume of confirmed complaints we have received about certain businesses. But I can't say with certainty that we've caught them all.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may piggyback off of that, the slide in front of you also is from the League of California Cities on this funding, and I think a very important piece here is the city, the counties have to be in compliance with the state and governor's orders. The governor is making the threat, for lack of a better word, that if cities, counties are not in compliance, that these funds can be withheld. So I think that's a very important piece to the program that we just have to, and we're working with Luther in the county on this, on an educational perspective, making sure our businesses are aware of the rules. So there is no excuse for ignorance. We will explain those rules. Then there's a process for enforcement with a final step of the state and their task forces, if you will, to revoke licenses and further closures of businesses.
Okay. All right. Seeing no other questions, thank you very much, Luther. Appreciate it. Anybody out in the audience wish to comment on this? See nobody coming up. We'll bring it back for city council discussion. Can you go back? Yeah, that one. I think that face masks and sanitizers for 300 families would be a great idea. We know how hard it is to find sanitizer nowadays. If we can get that sanitizer for them, that would be great. The businesses are getting the $2,500 if they put in for the San Bernardino one, that's $5,000. So I think if we can do the face mask and sanitizers for.
And Mr. Mayor, Mr. Marshall actually put this together for me. So each kit, if we would do a care package for the residents, it would be 50 disposable masks, 100 gloves, 1 to 8 ounce 70% hand sanitizer, and 1 pack of sanitizing hand wipes, 25 count. So that would be, I believe, 300 kits that we could put together for our residents. Obviously, it'd be first come, first served.
Right.
But.
Okay. Everybody okay with that? Are you okay with that, Councilmember Ogilvy?
Now, did you say that on the mask count, how many per household or per box?
50 disposable masks.
That's really good. That's very good. And also, let's see, what was it? And the hand sanitizer, that's great also. But that's a very good care package. Very good.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept this as the budget is set with the face mask and sanitizer for 300 families? First come, first serve.
Move.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Wright and seconded by Councilmember Belderrain. Do you understand what we're voting for, Carmelette? I'm just going to use your first name, if that's all right.
That's okay. That's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
No. I vote for it, yes.
Okay. Well, we'll have roll call right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderrain,
Aye.
Councilmember Ogilvy,
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 401.
All right. Very good. Thank you all very much for that report. We'll move on to number 16, purchase of property for affordable housing component of Project Phoenix. City Council authorizes the city manager to negotiate and execute purchase and sale agreements for 8 properties in the Project Phoenix area for affordable housing in the amount of $1.11 million.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The item in front of you this evening is the furtherance of Project Phoenix. These funds are not part of the non-housing project of Project Phoenix. Just by way of background, there were 2 sets of bond issuances, one for the non-housing portion and one for the housing portion. The housing portion has almost $2.2 million in this fund, and staff is recommending to purchase these 8 properties that are highlighted in the staff report. Council or staff has gone through the proper steps of the process with notifying each property owner of appraisal. We appraised each of the properties. We've negotiated in good faith, and we have an agreement in principle with each one of these property owners. Just by way of further background, and I'll pull this up here.
There you go. Oh.
So Project Phoenix, so here's the layout of Project Phoenix. Originally, this property right here, where my cursor is, that was the original housing project. Just to the east here is the multi-purpose facility and the Joshua Tree National Park Cultural and Visitor Center. But this property right here was going to be the original housing project. After time, we, from the staff's perspective and communicated to council, we feel this property here has economic development opportunities here. We've talked to several developers about it because we're going to have all the infrastructure. We're going to have the parking lots, we're going to have the road improvements, we're going to have the sewers. So we really feel that this property here is valuable for economic development. As the council is aware, we still have the requirement to deliver affordable housing. And so we looked at the properties, and I'll pull this up. And so again, from my cursor perspective, this area here is where the multi-purpose facility is and the Joshua Tree National Park Cultural and Visitor Center. This is that property that I referred to earlier, that it's a good property for economic development purposes. Just to the south of that are those properties that we mentioned that we want to purchase. These properties would allow us, and we're working right now, we've got a request for qualifications out there for housing developers to be able to develop these properties into affordable housing. That there would not, after that, there would not be any funding from the city. It would be operated and built by a developer. One of the things, and I'm gonna call Mr. Clark up to explain this a little further, there's an opportunity out there with some cap and trade dollars that it's real important if we buy this, gives us that opportunity to be able to access it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lucchino. So one of the housing programs that we're looking at through the state is called the AHSC Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities. And it is administered by the Strategic Growth Council with cap and trade funds. This is appealing to the city on two fronts. One, it provides the traditional loans, low interest loans to do the housing component, along with the infrastructure related to the housing component. That's the AH part. The SC part, Sustainable Communities, provides outright grant to cities for infrastructure improvements. Most of those are centered around reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So this grant would pay for the sidewalks, paseos, street trees, furniture, lights, bicycle paths, bus stops, even transit centers, all within a half mile from the housing project. So it's a really good program because it provides those infrastructure benefits that we could sorely use in our downtown area, along with meeting the affordable housing obligation for our bond program. So we're trying to get ourselves set up for the A round, probably not the next round coming in February, but the round after that for this particular grant application.
Thank you.
And that concludes our staff report. Be happy to
All right.
answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Anybody out in the audience wish to have anything to say about this? All right, I see none. Bring it back to council for motion or more discussion.
Okay, I make a motion that City Council authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute purchase and sale agreements for 8 properties in the Project Phoenix area for affordable housing in the amount of $1,110,800.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Councilmember Wright, seconded by Councilmember Bilderain. Carmelette, you have anything?
No.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Ogilvy,
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderain,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 401.
Okay, if we can have Danny back in. We are going to go into the public hearings. Number 12, Twin Palms Lighting and Landscaping Assessment, District 1, public hearing confirming assessment and levying assessment for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This item in front of you this evening is an annual process that staff is recommending that you conduct the public hearing and adopt the resolution confirming the diagram and assessment and levying the assessment pursuant to the Lighting and Landscape Act of 1972 for fiscal year 2021. As mentioned, this is an annual process. Both of these lighting and landscape districts have been in place for several years. The Historic Plaza and Desert Vista housing tract. The Historic Plaza, the assessment will be relative to the prior year plus some inflationary costs. Desert Vista, on the other hand, will be decreasing. The assessment last year was $198. This year will only be $100. The reason for that is we've collected sufficient funds in this area, and the improvements that were expected early on were not a reality. So we've also reduced that same fiscal reality to match what the improvements are in that area. So pleased to report that district has reduced $98 this year. So I would be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any from council? What resolution number is this?
2012.
Okay. I'll open it up to the public. If anybody in the public would like to comment on item number 12, please come up to the podium, state your name and your thoughts. I don't see anybody coming up to the podium, so I'll bring it back. I'll close the public comment hearing and bring it back to council.
You ready for a motion, Mr. Mayor?
Is it, this one here is for which one?
Both of them.
Oh, there's for both of them.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, same
Is that
motion. for
District
both of them.
1, I thought they were different districts, okay. Okay,
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution number 2012, resolution of the City Council of Twin Palms confirming the diagram assessment, levying assessment pursuant to Lighting and Landscaping Act 1972 for the fiscal year 2021.
Second.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Mintz, seconded by Councilmember Belderine. Roll call. Carmelette, I should ask you, do you have any comments?
Aye.
You got her vote already.
Oh, she, okay. So Councilmember Ogilvy says aye. Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderine?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Klink?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
We'll move along to number 13, PC 20-19, Development Code Amendment for Trash Enclosure Standards.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The purpose of this development code amendment is really to bring us into compliance with the state law. AB 1826, Organics Recycling Law, which mandates businesses recycle landscape cuttings, food waste, depending on the amount of waste that they generate. Right now, the threshold is 4 cubic yards or more. If the state fails to meet its waste reduction goals, then that could be tightened up to 2 cubic yards per week. Just a little bit about what is meant by organics, because we're all kind of educating ourselves on this. It is more than just food waste. It also includes landscape trimmings, leaves, grasses, branches, stumps, other non-hazardous wood waste, and compostable paper. For example, that soiled pizza box would actually be considered an organic. And as you can see, it makes up a pretty big chunk of the waste stream, so that's why the state is focusing on that. So our current standards obviously do not provide allocation space for organics. So we took a thorough look at the standards there. First of all, we want to rename it from trash storage facilities to trash enclosure standards. We do not currently have space for either recycling or organics in our current standards. They also do not meet ADA requirements for access. And then there's the need to clarify when they would be needed for multifamily residential, and we're borrowing on the state definition there. 5 units or more is considered more of a commercial complex. 4 or less typically uses the plastic containers. So the applicability of these new standards would be new projects, commercial, industrial, office, multifamily of 5 units or more, an expansion of 25% or more in square feet, or 25% increase in units. That's consistent with the other parts of our development code, which require properties to be brought up to the current standards based on an expansion. And then to meet the state requirement when a structure is converted to a restaurant or other business producing organic waste, such as a grocery store. The exemption for the organics requirement, obviously those businesses that do not produce organics. Great example of that going through the planning process now is an auto parts store. For obviously reasons, they would be exempt from organics. So the new standards do provide ADA access to the bins. We would still require the block wall for commercial uses. That's compatible with the architectural details of the primary structure. But we wanted to allow a less expensive option for residential projects of 5 to 19 units, using a wood stockade fence in lieu of a block wall. And then more than 19 units, it's a much larger complex, we'd revert back to the block wall. And we also wanted to just allow variations to be approved by the community development director. Every now and then you have certain site conditions that would force kind of a atypical arrangement of the bins, say more of a L shape than in a line. And if it meets the intent of the code, then we want to allow those to proceed. So this is the new standard, and we're actually going to be using this in the Project Phoenix area. So all the collective trash enclosures that have been designed already meet this new standard. So it is the block wall on the exterior, the access, including ADA access for the interior, rooms for recycling and trash, also the organics bins as well. And then depending on the amount, this can be just increased in size. And then the alternative without the organics bin. And the same for the stockade fence. It's pretty much the same design, just replacing the block wall with the stockade fence type of design. So our recommendation is to improve the development code amendment for trash enclosure standards and find the project category exempt from CEQA per section 15301. It was presented to the Planning Commission and they recommended approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Travis? Carmelette? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. I'll open this up to the public. Anybody out in the public wish to comment on item number 13? See no one rushing to the podium. I'll bring it back to council. I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for any discussion. Motion.
Put that up there. That's it right there?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the development code amendment for trash enclosure standards and find the project categorically exempt from CEQA per section 15301.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Wright and a second from Councilmember Ogilvy to approve the development code amendment for trash enclosure standards. Roll
Now,
call.
is it correct that we're also introducing the ordinance?
That's correct.
That's correct, yes.
So it would be
Go ahead.
ordinance number 294.
291?
Four.
4? Okay,
Are you
Okay.
going to read the title, or
go ahead.
me?
Mhm.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of 29 Palms, California, approving PC 2019, amending Chapter 1991, trash storage facilities of the City of 29 Palms Development Code. Roll call. Councilmember Ogilvy.
Aye.
Councilmember Wright.
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderring.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz.
Aye.
Mayor Klink.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Okay, we'll go on to designation of a delegate and alternate delegate for the League of California Cities Annual Conference. And I'm assuming this is going to be a virtual, and what's the dates? Yeah.
Okay, so the annual League of California Cities Conference, originally scheduled to be held in Long Beach on October 7th through the 9th, 2020, has been transformed into a virtual event given the current COVID-19 pandemic. Each conference has a business meeting where cities are given an opportunity to vote on league resolutions. These resolutions set the policy direction for the California League of Cities. So at this time, we're asking for a delegate and an alternate delegate to participate in these business meetings.
Okay. I'll ask, does anybody want to volunteer first?
Well, I didn't do the last one. Carmela had to step in for me, so I probably will have time to do it then too. So
Okay.
I'll do it
Delegate?
as a delegate, yes.
Okay. And Councilmember Belderrain as the alternate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Are you opposed or are you in favor? Carmelette?
She said aye for you.
Yeah. She just got in there.
I'm in favor.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, we're going to jump down to number 17, solid waste and recycling rate adjustment. And if approved, adopt resolution number 2013 it is, would be? Cindy? Resolution, it would be 2013.
2013.
Good
Okay.
evening, Mayor and council members. The item before you is a rate increase that's pretty much necessitated by the lack of recycling markets in the state and worldwide, pretty much. So as you can see, the biggest impact that this whole thing is going to have is commercial recycling. Can you bring up that attachment, Frank? So the city was approached by Vertec a few months back, stating there was a need for an increase due to net recycling losses. The city and Vertec hired a company called R3 Consulting to do a detailed analysis of the data provided to ensure that the need was correct and that we were all on the same page, and that data did prove out that this, all of this information is correct. So the most common rates are here in front of you. Pretty much the average household is going to have an increase of $27 annually, so $2.27 per month. That takes effect July 1st, and then the commercial rates for trash only slightly increase because there's not a big difference there, but the recycling rate does go up by $18, $17.83 per month. And that's due to the fact there is no market for most of these materials now. We do have a detailed chart showing all the other rates. These are the most common rates throughout the city. So I can answer any questions if you have any, or
Any questions?
Mike Vito and Frank Orlett are also here from Vertec if you have questions.
Eli, would you explain to him the, that we went through a process? Are you a Franken, that we audited?
Yeah, we put it out for consultants. We picked R3. Vertec provided them tonnage reports, transportation costs, all the rough information, all of the actual data. They assessed all of that, and these numbers are what they came up with, which match what Vertec requested, which does exceed the 6%, but it is driven by the recycling data.
Okay.
And just to further articulate that so the public can understand kind of what's happened, is early on in the rate setting process, Vertec was subsidized, for lack of a better word, by the selling of those recyclables. And primarily those recyclables were sold to China. So the recyclables in our gray bins, would go to Yucca Valley, would consolidate in Yucca Valley with Yucca Valleys and go to the MRF, which is the materials recycling facility in Victorville. At that point, they'd be selling it and collecting revenue, and that money would come to, lower our rates. Well, that's gone. That's gone. So Vertec for several years, I think now, have been eating that cost, and it's just not tenable. And so they approached us to make that adjustment. Now, it's not permanent. There is a hope and desire, probably an inevitability that recycling does come back. And once that does come back, then the old system would go in place and these rates would be adjusted again favorably. And again, we have Vertec's representatives here to answer any questions if the council has any.
Any questions for Vertec?
If they're not selling the recycling, where is it going now?
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, my name is Frank Orlett, Vice President of Vertec. The recycling is being sold, but the value is very understated now. And the processing costs have gone up so high that because we have to ship it in different places, there is no supply and demand for it. But we are recycling it. Our challenge is it costs $72.12 to move a ton of recycling versus $47.94 of trash. So we're still doing the right thing from a recycling standpoint. It just costs more money.
Thank you. Any other questions? Good question.
So were you able to look at those rates that they actually are getting for the sale of the recyclables?
Yes.
You were provided that?
Yes.
Before you negotiated, and I'm assuming you did negotiate the rates, even though Vertec got the contract, or will you do the contract?
Yes.
Yeah, so we analyzed through a consultant to validate all of those revenues and expenditures that were out there.
Okay. Sorry, my glasses are fogging up. Anybody else with a question? Okay, move it back to council. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So when the market comes back and you can start doing the recycling again, will the rates go back down? Will they adjust?
apologize. I should have, that's a great question because I should have addressed that. So how we're restructuring the rates, it's kind of like disposal. So the net recycling fee is like a disposal fee, and it's reconciled every year. So if it goes down next year, then the rates will go down. So I think we're pretty much at the top. I really believe the only way it is going to go is down. So every year we'll reconcile it and adjust it just like we would disposal.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any more questions? Motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 2013 and approve the rate increase.
Second.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Minson, seconded by Council Member Beldorain. Carmelette, are you okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay, roll call.
Able to,
Oh, what'd you say?
are you able to hear me?
We're gonna do a roll call for the, I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Minson, second by Mr. Beldorain to adopt resolution number 2013 approving the rate increase as presented. And now we'll do a roll call.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Beldorain?
Aye.
Councilmember Ogilvy?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Klink?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Okay. Number 18, fees in lieu of street improvement, council future agenda item request.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The item in front of you this evening, as mentioned, is a future agenda item request to review the in lieu fee for street improvements, the curb gutter and sidewalk fee. So just by way of background, so within our development code, there is a requirement for all residential to put in their curb gutter and sidewalks. And this was a discussion approved by the council back in 2006. Subsequent to that, I think 2007, following year, it became a problem that, as an example, and I'll just illustrate it, where you had a single-family house building in a rural area of their community, so you had dirt on both sides, and our development code is requiring curb gutter and sidewalk on that development. So that facilitated a conversation probably with the Planning Commission and the council at that time, and the solution then was an in lieu fee. And that lieu fee said, okay, the development code still required that curb and gutter in that rural area, but it wasn't practical. So there was a requirement. It was $77 per linear foot with a max, I think, of $11,150 that you would pay for that in lieu fee. That in lieu fee then would accumulate and then be used either locally or regionally. Locally meaning on your street potentially, or regionally for various projects. So council gave us the direction and a future agenda item to kind of look at that to see if this was practical. The city staff sat down with Mr. Clark, our community development director, along with Mr. Pedersen, our city engineer, and kind of reviewed the policy on this and for practicality and improvement. And one of the things that we realized that it probably wasn't practical to have a requirement within our development code that requires curb gutter and sidewalk, within our city. So one of the recommendations is we're gonna come back with this, a development code amendment that would exclude that requirement. However, still give the community development director the authority to require it. And I'll give you an example of a potential requirement is if you have an infill development, you have two houses on both sides and you're building in the middle, and you have curb gutter and sidewalk on both sides, you need to do it to connect that route. So that has the flexibility in a development code to do that. However, if you were in a rural area where there's nothing, then that requirement would not play. So that is one of the recommendations, and we still have to bring that back to council to craft that development code amendment. However, staff also believes that that we need to look at development impact fees. And very specifically, development impact fees can be for a variety of things. They could be for roads, they could be for flood control, they could be for public facilities, they could be for parks. We want to focus primarily on roads. And within your packet this evening is a proposal from Willdan Financial to develop a development impact fee that is across the board, both residential and commercial, that we would, through the analysis, what we would do is look at, so part of our development, our general plan has different elements, one of which is your circulation element, which is your road system master plan, right? So what roads do we need from our community to accommodate that growth? And so what we'll do is to look at that need within the community, and that need in the community also is sidewalks. So that need in the community with sidewalks and roads will aggregate those numbers, get a total number, divide that by our growth, and then that would be the development impact fee. I suspect this will be an iterative process once the report is done, which will be in front of the council to look at. In summary, what the recommendation from staff is to eliminate that one fee, eliminate the requirement of curb gutter and sidewalks, which in turn will eliminate the in lieu fee, for residential, but also to add that development impact fee. If that is the council's wish, staff still has to come back with those text amendments and the analysis from Willdan for the impact report. And that concludes my staff report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for
Yeah.
staff, council?
So you mentioned, like, for example, if it was a house in the middle, if we eliminate this, then they wouldn't have to do curb?
No, so part of the text amendment in the development code would be the authority with the development, community development director to require that. Because you would want that, and even for a tract development, a full tract development, you're going to require those off-site improvements, which are the sidewalks.
So would they have to do both, the impact fee and curb gutter?
The answer is yes. So, so the impact fee there's not that direct nexus. So when you're developing a property, you have off-site improvements, right? And those would be the curb gutter and sidewalks. Those are directly connected to your property. But then you have impact fees are more regional, right? So I'll give an example, 2 Mile Road. There may be improvements to 2 Mile Road that need to happen for growth, okay? And so those impact fees would pay for those road improvements. And I think it's secondary improvements, secondary roads, I think, Travis, is that what we discussed, primary and secondary?
Yeah, primary arterials and secondary, but typically the way it would work is you would get a credit. So any improvements that you would make along one of those roads, you would credit your impact fee.
So if I built the house in the middle, I would have to do the curb gutter and sidewalk to match.
Correct.
And an impact fee.
Yeah, but as Mr. Clark mentioned, and we got to bring back the text amendment to the council, there would be a credit. So let's make up numbers. That sidewalk, let's say the impact fee was $5,000, and that sidewalk cost you $2,500. You would be able to take that $2,500 as a credit against the $5,000.
Okay.
But we still have to come up with that text amendment, that verbiage within the development code.
Yeah, I don't want to pay double.
So does that include, and I'll make an example, the house on 2 Mile that has curb gutter and sidewalk all by itself by Alpine, and it's way back, like there's going to be 4 lanes on 2 Mile Road. Would they have to put curb gutter sidewalk next to the one that's already done plus asphalt?
So the answer to that would be yes, to connect it for that curb gutter and sidewalk, but they wouldn't pay twice. They would not pay twice, if that's the question.
Right.
Yeah, they would not, so they would have to do it, but they would not pay twice.
But they'd have to put asphalt on it as well.
Yeah, so if, depending on the scenario, and, the idea is to have some uniformity, right?
Mhm.
And that would be the goal. So depending on really what the conditions are in that area, you would want uniformity. So curb, gutter, and sidewalk would be that uniformity that you would want, if it's on both sides.
Oh, if it's on both sides, if it's just one that's sitting all by itself?
Yeah.
The person next door, if they're gonna build a house there,
Yeah,
they wouldn't have to
and
put
that's
it?
why I think, we're gonna apply practicality to it, so that's why I
Okay.
think the development director will have that autonomy in those scenarios to apply practicality depending on the conditions.
Okay.
This is mainly, we need to get a study done so we can get all the numbers. That's all you're looking for today.
Do I have anybody out in the audience that would like to address this? We have one.
Yeah, Jim Krushat, 29 Palms. I think this is a positive move in the right direction to get a methodology for how we're doing it. Because before, the way the development code was written, and I live in a rural living area, and I was looking at a $20,000 pool house and told that I was have to pay $11,000 for curbs and gutters. And I'm going, are you gonna build curbs and gutters out where I'm at? And they said, no, but it's part of what the fee is. So the fee was very basic, and I think that moving in the direction where we can look at each individual project, apply a methodology, get the verbiage right, is definitely moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thanks.
And Mr. Mayor, I did leave out one thing. So right now with SB 1, which is the roads money, or the increase from our gas tax recently, there's a pot of money, and I think it's LPP, it's local, can't remember the acronym now, but there's actually a pot of money within SB 1 that the only way you could access it is if you have a local sales tax for roads or a development impact fee. Right now, we have neither, so we can't access this, and I think it's $200 million competitively annually. We can't access it. Once and if we have a development impact fee, we could access those funds.
Very good.
If we already paid for it, can we get our money back? No?
That was my next question.
I mean, council could always have those authority, but yeah, that's.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you'd have to go out of the room like me.
All right, do I need a motion on this, or is this
Yes,
just, okay. Do I have a motion?
Quick, what's the motion?
The recommendation is the city council approve the task by Wildan to develop an impact fee for streets and eliminate the requirement for curb, gutter, and sidewalk on residential.
All right, that's my motion.
Yeah, the motion
Okay.
is- I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Wright and second by Councilmember Bilderain to approve the task by Wildan to develop an impact fee for streets and eliminate the requirement for curb, gutter, and sidewalks on residential. Carmelette, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any questions on this one?
No, I don't.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Ogilvy?
Aye.
Councilmember Bilderain?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Klink?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Future council initiated items, Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
I have none, thank you.
Councilmember Wright,
Nah, none this time. actually.
Carmelette,
None.
Councilmember Bilderain,
I have no, Mr. Mayor.
and I have none, so we'll move on to public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out name and address slips and give them to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. And the first one to speak is Vino.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council, for this and allowing me to talk in front of you this evening. My name is Vino Nathraj, and I permanently moved to 29 Palms about a year ago at 71809 7182929 Palms Highway. I noticed that you didn't call item number 11 on the agenda. Did I miss that, or?
Well, that was on the consent calendar.
There's no consent calendar?
Mm-hmm.
I'm new, so I'm learning. In fact, what I want to share with the council is about vacation rentals. I want the council to understand that I'm not against vacation rental, but I'm totally against when I see investors come out and buy a few houses, a couple of houses, and convert them into vacation rentals. And I'd like the council to try to consider that moving forward on the vacation rental. If somebody makes an application, he or she should have at least owned that property for a minimum of 10 years. And these are my suggestions as to why I'm saying that. When you take a house and make it into a vacation rental, then the rental pool actually becomes smaller. Now, I have quite a few employees. I talk to other businesses that have employees, and most of them spend north of 42% of their income, some of them as high as 60% of their income, paying rental. When the vacation pool becomes smaller, those who have houses, they have an opportunity to charge a much higher rental. I come from a brokerage background north of 3 decades, and I've observed that the price per square foot on the rental that tenants are paying is higher than Orange County and LA. But yet when you buy a house in this city, it's much lower. For a city to be successful, affordable housing is a must. And good employees are always looking for affordable housing. If their income cannot support the roof over their head, they will move out. I found out that the vacation rentals, people who are investing in vacation rentals, they have an income of north of $30,000 per annum. If I own this home, if I go to rent it to somebody into the community for $9,000 and be able to make $30,000, where am I going to do that? I mean, why would I rent to a normal person?
Okay, Vino, your 3 minutes, the buzzer just went off, so I'm right here.
Okay.
Mayor's talking to you up here.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
3 minutes is up. I was gonna say if you wanted to just real quick come to a close.
Is my 3 minutes off, or?
Yeah, okay. Virginia Cusick?
My name is Virginia Cusick. I live at 5637 Cahuilla Avenue, 29. I have 2 items I'd like to bring up. One is the corrugated metal fences. They seriously need to be painted or dipped. They cause extreme heat, refraction, heat up our house, actually burned up several trees until I got smart and painted the one next to me. The other thing I would like to bring up is our overpopulation of rats, rabbits, and ground squirrels. They're undermining our driveways, patios, my house, foundation. They're climbing up fruit trees and chewing all the branches off. I've had some fruit trees actually chewed off at the ground. We have a ridiculous overpopulation where I am, just off Lupine and 2 Mile. It is outrageous. And they climb up, they're on my porch, they've climbed up trellises over 5 feet and chewed off stuff. So I have trellises full of dead stuff. I've put extreme things everywhere to try to keep them from getting to the plants. I've dug out everywhere. put in chicken wire, they just go around it. They come right up, they go around it, they chew all the roots off of the trees. So they're killing everything. And this is an unfortunate situation, not of their own making. They're stuck in the city with humans. And I would like to address the council to look into the birth control programs for all three of these animals. If you look at the USDA.gov, they have the list of the birth control programs. It's kinder than killing them. Besides that, like they put for the Norway rats. And there's a lot of talk about people just being overloaded with these rats. One pair in 1 year becomes 15,000 rats. 15,000. That's outrageous. And the city really does need to address this before we have cases of hantavirus. They chew wires. People are complaining about their car and RV wires being chewed up. It's only a matter of time before they're inside your house because they've chewed a hole somewhere that you can't see. So it is a health danger. I have fallen through tunnels on the ground squirrels and seriously hurt myself. So this is a long-term solution that needs to be addressed. And I would appreciate it, not just me, but lots of other people, if the city looks into the birth control program. Much kinder. It is, they have pet-proof baiting stations. So you don't have to worry about your dog or cat getting spayed or neutered chemically, you know, if you don't want that. But this really is a serious problem. I would appreciate finding out if the council will address this, because I had over 300 tomato plants. They were gone in less than a week. And a banana tree, this tall, gone overnight. Nothing left but a hole.
Yeah.
So I would definitely appreciate it, and so would some of our other citizens.
Okay, thank you. Jeff Weingarten? I hope I got that right.
Good enough. Thank you. I realize that you've never been asked for this in the past, but we live in COVID times now, and I've been asked to attempt this by John Burdick, who is the commissioner at the Joshua Tree Courthouse. And so what this is about, have you all seen the little statement that okay. So my name is Jeff Weingarten. My wife and I are the owners of the property located at 6080 Bailey. Triad Realty manages the property and the tenants. There have been several breaches of the lease, and you are all aware of the state imposed restrictions on eviction. And therefore, I am trying to implore you to give me a declaration or to direct the code enforcement officer to say that the public health, safety, and welfare is in jeopardy because of this property. The cause of all this is the non-tenant, someone who I never signed a lease with, Martin Provost, who has taken it upon himself to purchase electrical equipment causing 7 electrical plugs and 3 light switches to burn out. In addition, he has altered the main electrical panel with multiple breakers that are the wrong size for the wire rating. Our electrician Derek Jeffries from Victor Valley Electric states in his report that there are 2-pole 30 amp and 2-pole 40 amp breakers that are connected to wires that are only rated for 15 and possibly 20 amp. This is a fire hazard and should not be allowed to continue. Mr. Provost wants to plug in multiple air conditioning units and start them up. The wires in the wall will heat up to a melting point, causing a fire. He has not allowed me to install a roof air conditioning unit, and that's a whole other subject which I don't have time to get into in 3 minutes, but that is the ideal situation. He won't let me do it. My electrician was refused entry to the house, so he couldn't inspect it further. And I believe, from what Martin Provost has told me and told the electrician, any corrections I try to make on my own anyway, he will change it back. So, in addition to this, there are several bags of trash, furniture leaning on a palm tree, dry brush that is knee-high, crates and miscellaneous debris all over the property. If a fire starts inside the house, it would not take long for it to spread to this outside debris and then to neighboring properties, burning them down and causing fatalities, all because of this one unkept property. Now, Mr. Provost is not poverty-stricken. He has told us that he has $48,000 in savings. He could easily move out and take his mother with him. Instead, he has said he will take advantage of the COVID extensions for as long as they are available. We have tried to offer financial incentives to him and his mother. Our property manager has, I'm almost done.
Go ahead.
Our
Yes.
property manager has offered several comparable properties. They have declined all of this. So my wife and I are very worried about the potential loss of life, this house, the people in it, and the neighbors. If they start a toaster up with the air conditioners on, I don't want to be responsible for this. I know you don't want to be responsible for this. Folks, you have to help me out here. I need a declaration so this can move forward with the usual court process. It's the only way. He won't listen to me. I've even called the police to try to get him out, and they say you have to go through the civil process. What else am I to do? That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, do we have a complaint on this? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and the last one is Astrid Johnson.
The system is really strict. No, I'm talking about like now. He's gonna.
I wanted to just kind of catch everybody up to what's going on with.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine. They were talking down here. I just wanted to make sure that they were going to be listening to you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can discuss it afterwards.
Because it's public comment, we can't make a decision now,
Right.
right?
Right.
He has to wait.
Mm-hmm.
How long he has to wait?
What do we make of
Well, so, you know, this is a complicated issue, and it's complicated by the laws given the, you know, within this COVID process. You know, we can't use the code enforcement process for eviction. I think the gentleman tried to even go in front of the courts for an emergency action, and they denied, I think, that stay. So it's a very complicated civil issue. I just don't know, you know, the city.
When
in
are
its
we
best
going to be
interest.
meeting again?
August 25th.
August 25th.
I think if we can bring that up then on August 25th, have it in the, if another council member wants to agree to have it in the
Future agenda item?
future agenda item.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of birth control for the rats, rabbits, and ground squirrel. If anybody wants to discuss that.
Yeah, I second that too.
Okay.
By the way, the rabbits are suffering from a virus, so we're not going to have to worry about it too much. No, seriously,
Okay.
they're dying.
Okay, so we got that settled. Astrid, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Astrid Johnson, and I'm going to actually just kind of catch you up on what's going on with Morongo Basin Arch and how we're impacting 29 Palms. We have grant money from Pathways, which we are utilizing to house people in motels that are at high risk of COVID. And so these cases are generally people who are homeless with cancer, AIDS. One lady was on oxygen and had an oxygen tank. So we are utilizing right now 3 motels. We use El Rancho Dolores. Best Western just opened up, so we can put people in there, especially if they have a pet. And for a while, until it had all the electrical issues, we also used Palm 9, and then we used Best Western. So, you know, we were talking about the motel vouchers earlier. So we are constantly getting calls for people who need help. We have a whole process of people call, we go through 211, they go through the pathwaysnetwork.net questionnaire, and then we go through and look at them and see if they fit our criterias. I know Wayne Hamilton is also doing very similar to what we're doing, but housing homeless families as well. So that's still going on despite everything that's going on, you know, with COVID. We are still meeting people, we're still putting them in motels, we're still trying to find them housing when we're done. One person, and we're sending back to Texas probably in a couple of days as we're They want to go back to, somebody else is being relocated because of their health to another program. So a lot is still going on. Your motel voucher system, I hope, will work out pretty well. There's a lot of need for it. And what the gentleman was talking about for housing, we are absolutely running into that. And so I know at another time we'll talk about what's going on with Project Home Key and maybe how it could be utilized here, which is trying to find, develop affordable housing for the homeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Astrid. And I don't know if it's Ellen or Eileen. Eileen Leslie. Go ahead. You're up.
Good evening, fabulous people. I spoke to you one time before, and I told you that I was excited that I had thought that I retired to 29 Palms in 2017, only to find out the beautiful stars will keep me, but my boredom may not. So as Travis knows, I'm interested in business, and I'm interested in starting another business, and I'm moved forward by the project, and I'm excited. And I don't feel that I can fully expose because there are certain things coming up in our community that take my enthusiasm and almost crush it. And tonight that topic has to do with Airbnb. And from what I understand, and I think this is a question, from what I understood was gonna happen tonight is that a petition was gonna be offered to you with suggested limitations. It has quietly gone through Facebook. It's not been offered to everyone. I don't know what it says. So I'd like to know, one, are they on the agenda? Is there a date? If you already have the petition, can we get a copy of it? Maybe some people want to sign it. Maybe some people would like to have a presentation in opposition to that. So those are my initial thoughts. I don't know if you can address me in the middle of my 3 minutes. Because I think, I'll jump that and let you answer maybe after. I think the most important thing is we don't want to have a divisive community. There's a lot of LA, San Diego, people who aren't locals, a lot of that conversation going on. And the thing is, Project Phoenix is designed for us to be fabulous, to be the east entrance to the fabulous park. And I don't understand how this conversation gets down to money. People who have it, people who don't have it, which gets down to property and property rights. And right now, somebody like me that did come in, because I worked really hard in LA, I bought a couple of properties, and I bought them at a reasonable dollar amount, especially in light of the prices in LA. But for me or other people from other locations to come here and hear that we prevented somebody for buying a property at $10,000 4 years ago, when somebody else next year or this year paid $140,000, I don't think that's an argument to be had now. The argument is to move forward. How do we have beautiful sidewalks? How do we get the water inside of Project Phoenix for the kids to come to the fountain? Those are the conversations we should have. So my question really is, I'm going to present, and I want to get other people who are interested in property rights, who have come into town and bought Airbnbs. Some people are not local owners. Now I am a local owner. But I don't know that we should be not wanting other people who will add to property values. They're buying shacks, and they're fixing them up, and they're taking their rights, and they're putting them on Airbnb. I'm for short-term and long-term tenancy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you want to answer the one question?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, so that is a future agenda item request from the council that will more than likely be on the August 25th council meeting. There has been a petition that has been submitted to staff at this point, which will be ultimately in the staff report when it's presented.
Thank you.
May I ask when does the staff report get distributed to the public way prior? Like, how do I get something I initiate in at the same time, or maybe it should follow?
Yeah, so if you register, if you go to our website and register for the agendas, you will get it once it's posted to the public. So once the council gets it, you'll
Okay.
get it at the same time.
Okay, fantastic. So then, that August, how far ahead are you in putting people on the calendar for agendas? August 25th is
Yeah, so staff will kind of puts together the agenda based on, one, future council items and, business that is at hand.
Okay. Thank you very much, all
You're
of you.
welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. You must love our heat. You do now? All right. No, I can't skip over that, can I? No. City manager update.
I'll be fast. I got some good news.
Just
Good
kidding,
news,
just
good news. So, Project Phoenix, good news to share. You don't have the exact number, but I'll just give you the scenario. So, through the Project Phoenix development side of it, and as council knows, that we've always talked about price per square foot. And that's generally what you do, right? Before you have design plans, you just generically say price per square foot. And that's what we did. So there are three elements of design. There's schematic design, there's design development, and there's construction documents. And we're in DD right now, design development. And this is one of the price points that Tilden Coyle, which is our construction manager's review. And when you have documents, at least this level of documents, you can count things. How many 2x4s, how many pieces of metal, how many this, that, and the other. And one thing, I don't know, silver lining, if you will, of COVID, it's starting to bring more people bidding on projects. So the private jobs are not as much, things have been canceled, so more public jobs are being built by, or being bid by even the private developers. So going through this process, I'm happy to report, and we're working still through the numbers, that the costs are a lot lower than we anticipated. So great news there. We're still going through the process. Our site improvements were a little higher, but the building costs were actually a lot lower than anticipated. So we'll have that in front of the council soon, once we have a chance to kind of go through it, but very good news. I guess that silver lining, if you will, in this whole COVID nightmare has been these costs. O'Reilly's, as Mr. Clark mentioned, I think is going to the Planning Commission next week. Yeah, so August, first Tuesday in August, so that's coming forward. Also within Project Phoenix, through the CARES Act money, and we applied for the package treatment plant to fund the package treatment plant to the tune of $2 million. And it's moving through the process pretty well. Tomorrow, actually, we have a meeting with the EDA, which is the Economic Development Agency, staff tomorrow, and our engineers to go through the process. So it's looking, very, very good at this point. And this is, again, money through the CARES Act going to the EDA. Another thing that the state of California did, and actually I got a call today, interestingly, somewhat fishing, if you will. So the state of California is putting some tax credits. We always hear of businesses that leaving the state of California. So they're trying to incentivize businesses to come into the state of California. So I think to the tune of $80 million worth of tax credits. So I sent it over to the Bays, and they actually sent it to all their contractors, because there's a lot of money spent from contractors that are from Alabama to Alaska to all over the country. And maybe they want to relocate to California. And so they sent it out today, actually, and I got a phone call today. Really interesting. We'll see where things go, but, it's a little fishing expedition, if you will. And then finally, as it relates to the Bays, we're trying to get the steps, working with the Bays. The Milcon military construction budget in the federal budget, still the $76.5 million is still there for the joint use wastewater treatment facility. And we're having a meeting Thursday to try to work on the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding of how it operates and how the mechanics of it go forward. They can't execute the MOU until it gets funded, because without funding, there's really no project. But we're working on that process. And so that concludes my comments.
Are you a city manager?
I am.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to mention Pioneer Park and that pursuit. The Prop 68 last round of the statewide park program, SPP, has come out with a December 14th deadline. So we have until then to put our application proposal together for Pioneer Park. which includes, or can include, the land acquisition, the park development, Theater 29 renovation. So over the next 2 or 3 months, there's going to be a lot of activity happening, especially to get public comment and engagement on what should be in the park so that our consultants can begin to design it.
I have a question while you're there. When you were talking about O'Reilly's, after the planning commission meeting, are they ready to start? Are they just going to sit on this with the approval? Do
No,
you know?
they're very eager to go. In fact, the holdup has been the traffic study with Caltrans, which was finally went through the system. So Tuesday is their entitlement approval, and then they're ready to submit building plans right after that.
Great. That is good news. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thank you, City Manager, for that short update. If there is no other business for the beautiful city of 29 Palms, I would like to adjourn this meeting in memory of Jeff Tabor, who lost his life this past weekend. Meeting adjourned.